Hello, and welcome to another episode of Shampoo and Booze. This is episode number 27 at shampooandbooze.com.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great.
Let's do a quick rundown of what this is about. We have a vacation rental on Airbnb.
Yes.
We bought a second home that we're renovating as a rental.
Yes.
We bought these rentals using profits from our eBay business.
Yep.
Which I love to say because that's incredible.
Crazy.
And then each week, so we're just trying to describe kind of our process of learning about how to run a rental business ourselves.
Yes.
So that's what we're doing here.
We didn't go to school for this. I don't know who did, but
we're definitely making it up, which is part of the fun. Okay, so we just got back from a month-long trip.
Yes.
We do some other work. We do like a video
production
work, and we're gone for a whole month. We did 2 big jobs. We've talked in the past couple of podcasts about we were staying in Airbnbs.
Yes.
Because the people I work for very often just allow us to book what we want. We like to stay in Airbnbs, and then it's always good for us to see other people's places because that's how we've learned so much. Things that work and things that don't work.
Yes.
Both of those things are very helpful.
Yes.
But today we wanted to talk about, so we were gone for a month, 25 days to be exact, and we kept renting our place.
Right.
By having a friend of ours take care of it for us.
Now, let's be clear. We hired a friend.
Sure.
Meaning they're not doing it for free.
Sure.
Which would be insane.
Right. He's not doing it at the kindness of his heart. We were paying him.
Mm-hmm.
So we had 13 nights booked out of those 25 nights.
Right. So it wasn't... Honestly, I wanted more nights booked, but It's like we always say, April and May are weird months where it's not vacation yet.
That's where we are. So we're in like a rural area, so it's not like we're in a city where people are just always coming to stay. We're more of it's destination place where people travel to.
And we didn't know this because we were away, but we were trying to keep an eye on it. It was raining constantly the whole time we were gone. So to me, that makes people not want to do like a last minute weekend thing. Like actually all weekends were booked. Our last minute, weekday thing. So
what's interesting is that, Airbnb is great because basically I was the one handling people.
Yes.
People were booking. I was communicating with, telling them we wouldn't be there in person, but our local friend would be there.
Right.
Gave them his phone number.
Right.
And then I talked to our friend and said, these are the people who are coming. This is their info. And just had them talk to each other.
When needed.
And it all pretty much went great.
Yeah.
So our friend, the way we do it is we give him 20% of its profit. So
right.
And for that, he cleans the house and he meets the people who come to rent.
And he's on call if there's an issue.
And he's on call.
Because obviously we can't be there.
Exactly. So that means, for like every 2 nights, we charge about an average of $200 a night. So every 2 nights, because people need to book 2 nights.
We have a 2-night minimum.
He gets paid $80.
Right.
And that's mainly for its cleaning. And then it's meeting the people.
Right. And the great thing for him is when it's longer than 2 nights because he gets paid more, but he doesn't have to do as much.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's less cleaning every other, every 2 days.
So we've worked with him before on this, and sometimes someone might book 5 nights.
Right.
He just has to clean on the front end, and meet them, and then just be on call if they have a question, but they normally don't. So he would get paid $200 for that whole thing, which is great.
So we try. I mean, that's the thing is we like to do the percentage because you're not paying them hourly. You don't have to have them keep track of hours, and there's more incentive to do a better job when there's an issue. Yeah. That's my thinking.
Right. And I think for us too, and we'll talk about it, why I think this, instead of just hiring a cleaner, which is something we could do.
Yeah, many people do that.
We could totally do that. Hire a cleaner, tell them to go and clean the house, and then I just tell the people who are going to rent, this is the code, go in, ask me any question online.
Right.
The thing is, then we really wouldn't have like a local person if there was a problem.
Right.
I mean, if there's a problem, we could, call a plumber and have the plumber go over there, call the AC, all of that stuff. For us, though, it's worth it to pay someone a little bit more to not only clean, but also to be on call and be more of like an extension of us.
Exactly, an extension of us. That makes us feel more comfortable.
Right.
Like, so that anyone at any time, like when we're home, can ask him a question.
Right.
And that makes us feel better about renting when we're away.
And I guess what people hearing this, they would say, yeah, it's called a property manager.
Right.
And I get that. So in our area, we do have vacation property managers where someone has a second home, it's vacation home here. They want to rent it. They don't want to deal with it. They give it to these local small businesses.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, though, is that these guys charge 20%.
20 to 25%.
And what they do is they'll book it for you. So they act like it's their inventory. They post it on their site or Airbnb. They book it. It's for you. And then the cleaning is extra.
They charge you more for the cleaning.
So 20 to 25% to manage it. Then you have to pay extra to clean. And so really, when I do the numbers and stuff like that, it's insane. It's like, I don't know how the property owners are making any real profit after they have to pay their, electricity and taxes.
Yeah, all
and
that stuff. So we choose to hire someone who's, close to us.
Well, right. And I mean, plus we don't need anyone to book it for us.
Right.
So.
We can do that ourselves.
That's the thing. Airbnb and other sites make that so easy.
Yeah. And we're already paying them a fee.
Right.
So it's like, and I think also people who are second homeowners here from the DC area or wherever, they don't want to deal with customers. They have full-time jobs. It's not their business.
They're like, just write me a check or send me the money.
And that's what it is.
And I guess if it's just, is they're empty, they aren't making anything. So they're just like, whatever money comes in is better than.
And you know what? There are local people too who do it through the property managers.
Sure.
They just don't want to deal with it, and that's just a different way of doing things.
So, while we were gone, there was a renter that I guess caused a little bit of an issue with our friend. She and her family came for like a birthday party for her daughter.
For her young daughter. She was 12. It wasn't like a kegger.
And they said that the toilet was broken. So our friend, because that's part of our deal, he went over there and looked at it and said it worked. He says, I don't know what they were talking about, but it worked. And so in some ways, that's a good example of if we had done the other system of just hiring a cleaner. If the renter had emailed us and said the toilet's broken, I would have just called a plumber, and sent a plumber over there, and that would have cost me $60+ for the plumber to tell me there is no problem. So.
Although people would argue, if you do the numbers, how much did you pay him over the month to be on call versus one issue? Yeah, you can argue that, totally. But also, part of the money that you pay this person is peace of mind, knowing that he can go over there and look at it at any time,
But I mean, this is a great experiment for us. This is the third time we've been away for 2 to 4 weeks, and had him take care of the place. It makes us feel comfortable because we know he will clean it the way we would clean it and would represent the place the way that
we like it. Yeah,
we would. And that's good for us because we, really have dreams of in the near future being able to travel more, go away, and really have this still be a business it's making income.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that was interesting was he was having issues with. There were a couple of renters that would say they were going to show up at 4, and then they would show up 4 to 6 hours later.
Yeah.
So that was causing issues with him, and so. I think in the future we might try just the self check-in.
Basically, here's the deal. Most renters, if they're going to be that late, they're very good at telling us at the time they realize it. Oh, traffic's terrible. Oh, we didn't get out of the city, whatever. And we're like, great. Either we decide to come back later, if that's what we want to do, or we give them the code. Now, we didn't really explain that to him, that we had been just starting to do that. Now that we know that can happen quite frequently, I think we need to be like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people that rent only do, they never meet the people. They're just like,
Why would I do that?
just self-check-in.
Yeah.
I guess we like to just have that, again, we've talked about having that kind of personal touch. I like to see who's coming.
Right.
All those things,
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone's worried about things happening at your home, the best way to avoid that is to meet the people who are coming to stay in your house.
So you feel...
Because if you look eyeball to eyeball, like, hi, how are you?
No, it's true.
This is not a
This is
hotel.
our house. We take care of it,
But the other thing, too, is, I guess, I'm a lot more aggressive talking to people in the sense of, I'm like, okay, if you say you're going to come at 4, cool, I'll be there. If you're going to come late, you've got to message me. I can be flexible, but you got to give me an hour ahead of time. And that 99% of the time works. He was, I think, a little more helpless or...
Not helpless,
just
but...
didn't know kind of how aggressive to be. And...
Right. I think also, we can tell him, we can express to him, here's an example. The last people that checked in, it was a couple nights ago, right before we got home. They said, great, we'll be there at 3. That's what they told us. That's what we told him. He was done cleaning by 3. He's like, I'm ready. They didn't say anything else after that. They didn't come till 8 o'clock.
Right. But, he should have been...
He should have called them or something.
He should have been contacting them, and that's something... I mean, the good news was he was just hanging out, watching television.
Yeah, I think he was just like, I'm chilling, I don't care.
I think it was all right.
But yeah, it's kind of hard because usually there's not an in-between us and the renters. It's just us and the renters. Yeah. So I think that's going to be a lesson that we learn.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting when we get a second one going. He either needs to get help,
right,
or we'll have to somehow schedule things where
stagger it.
He can clean both places, one after the other or something like that.
Or he gets help. Right. Or we hire someone else to take care of that house.
Right.
You're in charge of this house, you know how it works, blah, blah, blah.
True.
The other person's in charge of this house. We got to figure that out. I'm sure we'll figure it out, but...
Yeah.
But I will say, it was a good experience. Everything seemed to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
All the renters were fine, except for this one people who said the toilet was broken and then left the house kind of messy.
But it really is kind of a dream in the sense, we could go away and travel for a month and make income.
Right.
That's exciting to me.
And I always say this to myself, because a lot of people would be like, just shut it down. You won't have to think about it. But the beauty is...
No way!
But the beauty is, that's income we're making,
right,
minus the 20%, but it'd be zero.
Absolutely.
If we didn't do it. So there's a little bit of, nervousness and,
And I'm sure we all have... I'm sure each person has their own way of doing it. Some people have, employees.
Right.
Some people have said, hire someone they trust and and they make a relationship with its person. I mean, I think all of those things are right. However, if you're going to do it, ultimately you've got to find the people who you trust. And
I think that's a huge part of it. People, I think also you have to. I mean, what I found is you have to have a mutual respect with those people, because you really need those people to respect your property, and not just feel like an employee, because if you care about your property, you need to have those people care just as much. I know we could save money by just hiring a local person for, $10 an hour to have them clean. Ugh. I just would not want a nickel and dime people, and then, I think it would show in how they treated the place. Right, exactly. So anyway, that's our experience.
Okay, a couple just kind of general things. So we talked about we stayed in these Airbnbs. The last one we stayed in, it just drives me crazy when a landlord or owner doesn't put the toilet plunger or its brush next to the toilet.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
basically...
I think, a clogged toilet is probably a very common thing, I think. And if you don't have that plunger there, what are you going to do?
You shouldn't have to have your tenant, your renter, call you if the toilet's clogged.
Right. Because,
first of all, it's embarrassing.
Right.
Second of all, that's every person owns a toilet.
Yeah, especially it's embarrassing. I mean, it's just me and you, so we're not going to be embarrassed.
Oh, we don't
each other.
care.
It's more about like if you're with like a group of people,
right?
And you're the one that clogs the toilet. Oh
yeah.
my god.
Well, also I find also like in some areas too, they have like not the greatest water pressure either.
Sure.
So you're like your toilet's not awesome to begin with, so it's already being taxed by. If you said, like, right. There's a great amount of people there. So let that person deal with it on their own, And
also a toilet is brushed, too.
A toilet brush,
not to be gross, but sometimes it's nice just to be able to,
to brush it.
Brush out the toilet.
I mean, the thing was, one of the places we stayed, they did have it, but it was, like, in a closet, like, down the hall. Right. And you're like, how would I know that?
Yep.
I mean, basically, my whole thing is you should have basic house stuff available for people in case they need it. Basic tools and stuff. I know that sounds weird, but like a screwdriver. There are times where you're like, oh, I just need a screwdriver because this cabinet knob came off and I can fix it in 2 seconds.
Right.
If I had a screwdriver, things like that.
I mean, that's the other thing too about giving people things like cleaning supplies in general.
Having those
not
out
only
for
tools.
People.
I know there might be some people hearing this and being like, why would you, no one wants to clean.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we have people
who
want to clean.
Before they leave.
Especially if they're staying more than 2 at nights, they want to be able to like sweep, or they want to be able to, get
tidy up.
Like spray bottle and like wipe down tables
like
and stuff.
When we leave a rental, obviously because we're owners, I mean, we tidy up. Because I'm like, I'm not leaving a dirty house.
I mean, so it's not like it's you force people to clean.
Yeah.
But if you offer people the ability just to have it under the sink or something, have cleaning stuff there, I'm telling you, people will clean and do you a favor.
Most people will.
So a couple things that Airbnb announced is recently.
Yes.
Someone just came on our blog a couple of weeks ago and said that they were like a travel agent, and they were like, I wish Airbnb would allow me to book for its clients as a third party, but have their name be on the actual reservation.
Have like, if you're booking for John's name is on there, not travel agent X.
Right. Yeah. So, and I'm not exactly sure the details of that, but Airbnb just announced that.
It was so funny because she came on the blog and made that request. Like, I wish they did this. And then it was actually like 2 days later that I got the email. I'm like, whoa, that's weird.
Yeah, so we'll put a link on to our blog post.
Yeah, basically it's a business travel policy program that I think either businesses or travel agents can sign up for, and you go through a process of like trust and verification, so you're not just like booking on behalf of random people that don't exist or whatever. So that does exist, and that's pretty cool.
So if anyone is going to use that, like if there is a travel agent that's hearing this and has tried it or is trying it, we'd love to kind of hear how it works.
I would love to hear about that, because I would love to get people booking for other people.
This is not actually necessarily, I don't think, very new. It's smart
pricing. But they just sent an email about it, so I don't know if they've changed smart pricing. Basically, Airbnb allows you to use their algorithm to price for you. And I think that those types of tools are best for urban, high demand rentals. I don't think it necessarily is good for us.
Yeah, I mean, again, they might have tweaked something, but they have had this for a while, and I've talked about this. Like, when I look at, like, it, there's a button where you can say, show me what they would
like price suggestions, and
it's ridiculous. Like, ours is like $200, and they're like $95.
Yeah, you're like, no.
And I'm like, yeah, sure. I bet someone would rent it for $95, but
I would want to rent it to them for $95.
It's just not. It's
worth it. So
I just think that they're trying to build tools, because I'm sure there are people that own property that want to be as hands-off as possible,
Well, also I think that there are people who don't want to look at the market around them, because that takes time and research, and basically comps. Like, what
Yeah.
are the comps in your area, to use a real estate term? But maybe this is a way for someone in a highly, urban area.
I don't know. To me, it's kind of like
You still don't like that?
I mean, the people around where we are, they're like baby boomers. They have like an extra house or two,
Right.
And like right now, they're currently just having a management company rented for them, and we talked about all those fees that are associated with that. Maybe this is something they would try instead, where they would want to try Airbnb, but they don't want to have to fool with pricing or anything like that. So
Seasons.
This is like, it's one of those things. I just want Airbnb to set the price that's smart,
that makes sense for them,
and handle it.
Yeah. Well, if anyone uses that, I would love to hear about it. If it's successful for them.
Yeah, I think for us, we're just more about not making sure the place is always booked, just making sure, although we want to always book.
Of course.
But we want to make sure we get as much its value out of our place as possible.
I think also, I will say this about smart pricing, just real quick. A lot of times, maybe for other people, it will show that their place is worth more than they think, and that they're undercharging. So that might be helpful for some places where someone's like, I'll charge $60 a night, and Airbnb's like, your place is worth more. So that might be a good thing. Although in general, we've seen that they lower our price more often than not. So what we did before we left for our trip was we were driving into the city to park our car for a month at a friend's house, which was awesome. And of course we had to go to IKEA before we did that, because IKEA is 2 hours away from our house. So we bought like $200 worth of stuff for the farmhouse and for the new house. Just because we felt like we kind of wanted to upgrade some stuff, like little stuff, but stuff that we're like, yeah, I've been looking to, get a new duvet.
Yeah, things like duvet, like some new sheet covers, some like hand towels. Like
we got some hand towels. We got more scrubbies. We got toilet brush replacements, which definitely are things we needed. Some new pillowcases for the couches. Like, we had bought pillowcases before and we were like, we don't like these ones anymore. But the beautiful thing about replacing linens and stuff like that, if they're in good shape and not stained and not ripped or whatever, you can sell them on eBay.
That's right.
So I'm going to keep some as replacements, just in case there's a stain or something like that. But, if I end up not really needing those, put it on eBay.
So I think that's important for us to kind of always be kind of updating.
Yes.
As we see things that it look cooler. Is that? I mean, number one is it makes a place it look good, obviously.
Yeah.
But number two, it keeps us interested in the place. I could totally see setting up a rental, kind of buying everything that you need for it, and then just like hands off. You're like, all right, it's good to go. And then it's just, I don't know what it is. It's just like because I've been in those places where it just feels tired.
Okay, look.
Like, it's not dirty, it's just tired.
When we bought that river house, it came furnished, and it came with a lot of the linens. Actually, it just came with some linens and towels. Their bathroom towels and their kitchen towels, I think they bought them 20 years ago.
But see, I don't think that's a good example. It's like, I'm not even talking about that's where people, they bought stuff in the 80s, and 20 years later, the same stuff is there.
Stuff.
Dusty, and that's just like...
That's extreme.
That's criminal,
that is honestly criminal.
I'm talking about even just when you go to a hotel where it's kind of decent and nice, it just feels tired, like the style is tired.
Right.
Just like, things just don't seem to like feel good anymore.
Right.
And it's what I'm talking about. Always just trying to update a little thing.
I think also, like, since this is essentially the first year we did it, we've gone through a year, and I had bought stuff at IKEA, like the cheapest stuff at IKEA, like, oh, this is on sale, like, I'm getting those for the, smaller bedroom, and then I'm like, oh, the thread count on these is super low.
Right, because we were buying...
I didn't know.
Because we were buying quite a bit of stuff, so we're trying to save money. Now that the place is furnished, now we can spend a little bit more on things.
Yeah, get the nicer duvet for the second bedroom.
Right.
Like, get a higher thread count so that you feel a little
Yeah.
bit more high end,
But just kind of to wrap up, I think also it's important for me to stay interested.
Right.
I could totally see getting bored of this
Yeah,
place. Like,
totally.
I don't
Same thing
care.
over and over
Let's just
again.
have someone else rent it. Like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Just give me the money, whatever money it is.
Do you really think you'd feel like that?
I mean,
Well, it can
it's easy. I think I think I'm easily bored.
Yeah.
It's like if I don't feel like something's interesting,
Yeah.
I could totally get bored of something.
I think also, like, if you feel like it's not high quality enough where you're like, it's okay. Like,
Right.
like some of the linens in the second bedroom, I was like, I think I just got these, like, quickly, and now I'm like, I need nicer linens.
Yeah.
Like, I just gotta break down and do it.
But again, that's something that, it's kind of like how we sell on eBay.
Yeah.
We talk about, you can pretty much sell anything on eBay.
Yeah.
But the challenge is keeping yourself interested
Right.
and finding interesting things to sell.
Yeah.
Because it takes time to list and to deal with it. And I think it's the same way it's with a rental house. It takes time to clean, to like manage it, to like keep things up to date.
Yeah.
And if you aren't into it, then
Then what's
it's not
the
gonna
point?
work,
You're gonna
right?
get bored, yeah.
Okay, so and lastly, with our river house.
We call it the river house because it's across the street from the river.
Right, and so we just came back from a job, we made some money, we have now savings, and we're ready to start renovating this house.
Yes. We have started renovating
Right.
it, but continuing to renovate it.
And the next big project is building a driveway.
Yes.
That goes from the street up about 30 feet up a hill to the house.
Which does not exist
because
now.
the house is kind of on a little hill, and up until now, since it was built in the 70s, there were steps that walked all the way up to it.
Three stories were the steps.
Which honestly is not. I mean, we bought the house it's knowing it would be like that, but then I realized that we could build a driveway.
Yeah, because we own the lot next door.
Right.
That's what makes it possible.
So it's going to be an investment. I bet it's going to be about $12,000.
Yep.
For a driveway, and we found a guy who I trust who's going to do it. And the first step is we have to get the Department of Transportation from the state to come out and to give us approval to do this.
Right.
Is Ryan called?
Yep.
Got an appointment. He comes on Wednesday, and hopefully we'll get approval.
I think we will.
And that will be good.
I think we will. I've talked to this guy before because he's the one who helps issue a business license because he has to make sure you have a proper driveway.
Now, anytime I talk about doing these kind of extreme big renovation projects, I always sometimes feel like, are we being foolish? Like, are we spending more money than we need to? But it was actually kind of good. Like when we were at work,
we were at a hotel that had cable.
Right.
So there were a couple nights where we got out of work a little bit early, thank God, and we were just like, we're going to watch HGTV because we don't watch that stuff
We were just like vegging out. Yeah, like we don't have cable at home, so we're just vegging out and watching HGTV. Actually, I was just kind of flipping around and landed on one of those. I mean, they're just like these. It's marathon home
renovation marathon.
And
they're great.
There's different like characters who do these shows, and there was this one where. Well, there's a couple of them with like a guy and a girl.
Yeah.
And they renovate houses.
I mean, you guys, if you have TV, you've seen
And they're just one after the other, just like hours
we couldn't
of it.
turn the TV off. We were like, we got to keep watching.
It was good for me to see that because I see that they're spending some serious money redoing those houses.
Yep.
Like they would be in like California and they would buy a house for like $250,000
plus,
which seems expensive. And they would go inside and it's like a crack house.
Yeah, basically.
And, they're bringing their contractor around. The contractor's like, yeah, look, there's all this rot, and you got to redo all the wiring, and, you have to get, like, a backhoe and redo the whole backyard. And they're spending, like, $90,000 to renovate this place.
Just to flip it. I mean, that's their thing.
And then the good thing is that, I mean, it was obvious that they realized they really had to invest to go from, like, a 2-star house to like a 5-star house.
Essentially.
And their business plan was, their strategy is to take a mediocre or really bad house and make it the best house on the block. And they supposedly, what they say is true, they would sell it for a lot of money.
Right.
And walk away with like $90,000.
$90,000, $100,000.
So we're not flipping these houses, but it just makes me feel good that it confirms what we feel is true for us, is that it's important for us to renovate these houses to where they are like 5-star houses.
Right. Well, what happens is, we do things, we have done things where we're like, okay, we could do this fast and cheap. That's possible. Many people do that. But we're like, number one, this is our business. And number two, we want quality materials and quality workmanship. And that takes more time and more money. Yeah. It just does. And so when you watch that show, Grand Designs, or these HGTV shows, you're like, okay, it's really nice to see that there are other people out there. And the great thing about both those shows is they give you the numbers. They're not like, oh, we spent $10K. You're like, well, I spent more than that on the roof. Like, right. And am I crazy? Am I like throwing money away? No, I don't think so. That it kind of helps, like, you realize that you're not alone.
Yeah. I mean, just where it's important to, or it makes business sense to renovate properly. Not to cover things up, to use quality, its materials, to inject some kind of style into a place, because people will pay more. Either they'll pay more to buy the home, right, or they'll pay more to rent.
And what I loved about those shows, though, is when they, quote unquote, splurged on details, people noticed. Like, you could see when people came around to look at the house, they would notice the little details that, it's not always my style. Like, I'd see them using like beige tiles. I'm like, yeah, no. But people notice, like, look at this beautiful shower. Look at the beautiful kitchen.
Right. Instead of just like they would show them going to the stores to buy the stuff they're going to use. And instead of like going to Lowe's and buying, it's whatever tile's on sale.
Right.
Your dad.
my dad does that.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
It makes it clean. I'm sure there's a certain kind of rental business that maybe that makes sense for.
Sure.
But what they would do is they would, spend more for a certain kind of its materials, because again, when they would show the place, people could tell.
Well, and what's great about those people who professionally renovate, they'll say, if I put this nicer thing and spend a little more on the bathroom, I'm going to make back this much money. I spent this much, but it's going to make the house worth X amount. Right. So they've done those numbers. They're not like, I'm going to make the craziest bathroom with like gold fittings. You're like, no, they're not doing that. But they're like, stepping up the numbers.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. And then, with this house, so our first house, it took us 3 years to renovate it, mainly because of money, because we're paying out of pocket.
Right.
Things took time. I mean, some of it is just, one contractor's not available for a certain amount of time. Nothing can start until he is finished. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see how long it takes us to do this one. I think we have more experience under our belt. Yeah. We have a little more money saved up to be able to go full force for
a little bit.
It's longer.
Yeah.
And so we'll see, how long this is going to take.
And I think the other thing, too, is for this renovation, I feel like we can be a little more calm about it, because we already have a rental going, we have other businesses happening, and we don't have a timeline. We have to get this done by X amount of time.
We're always calm, right?
There are certain renovations I wasn't calm on, but that's what's great about this one, is we're like, okay, we can just make sure it gets done right.
I think we've just had the experience where, things take the time it takes. I think it's a fool's errand to say, okay, this has to get done by August 1st. I mean, it's good to have goals.
Right.
Like, I would love to get done by the end of the summertime.
Me too.
But when you set up like an official end date, you're only, it's making a tension point.
Right. And, this is a different renovation than some people who are building from scratch and need to move in, because that's not us.
Well, I think that was the other good thing about looking at that show is, there are some shows we've seen where they do its renovation in like a week, or the way they edit it, it looks like it's done overnight.
Right.
Like those two kind of Barbie doll twin guys.
The Property Brothers.
I mean, actually, I was reading on
Barbie
there.
doll.
on their Wikipedia page, I mean, they seem like nice guys, but they talk about how they are able to get things done within, I think it's like 2 weeks, because they have 3 full-time crews that work 24
hours a day.
And that's how they're able to finish so quickly. The ones that we were watching, I forgot the names of these shows. There was
one's called Flip or Flop.
There you go.
That's the Southern California people. And then there was one...
like Nashville renovations.
In Nashville, yeah. So they were cool to watch both.
But it was good, though. They seemed more honest about how much time it was taking.
Yeah.
And they would take 3 months or more
right.
to do these jobs.
Right.
Because, again, they were taking houses that had serious issues, sometimes structural problems, and were, really renovating. And that, again, makes me feel good that it takes for them that much time, and they had
crews of many people.
And they had, a full-time crew.
Right. So that's what's interesting is, like, on the farmhouse, it took us 3 years because we had, like, 2 guys working on it.
Right.
I mean, max 2 guys. One at one point it was 1 guy.
Right.
So you're like, oh yeah, that's why it took us 3 years, because it wasn't like 7 guys.
Right. So this past month, while we were gone, I hope I was taking the right notes, but I think we only booked 2 more nights for the future.
Maybe, which seems crazy.
So basically, in the past 4 weeks, we've only had 1 other person book. I've got to double check, but it's been slow. Our bookings really slowed down. One reason is it's been raining all month in our area.
And by all month, I mean all month.
Right. So here on the East Coast, it's mid-Atlantic, it's been raining. So I just think things like that stop people from kind of it's booking because they're like, oh,
they're not thinking about it. Right? Yeah.
But I am a little, is worried the right word? Now is a time when people should start booking for the
summer.
Summertime. Like we should this month start expecting people booking for their vacations, summer vacations.
Yep.
So basically we've booked either in the past or in the future for 2016, 151 nights. And our goal is to hit 200 nights. So we have 49 more nights we need to book for the rest. We have 6.5 more months.
I think we will.
Fill that.
All right, so that concludes the podcast today. You can check out our blog at shampooandbooze.com for any links we discuss and to join the conversation. You can also leave a question or a comment on our voicemail line. That phone number is 540-407-8486. We post an episode every Sunday night or Monday morning. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube, so you always get the latest episode. And if you're interested, you can listen to our other podcast where we talk about how we sell stuff that we scavenge, and that helps fund our renovations for our Airbnb business. And that's at scavengerlife.com. Bye!
See ya!